It is early Christmas morning, first thing in the morning, and I'm gonna do some smoked prime rib. So we got, I haven't cleared the smoker from the last time I used it, but I'm gonna use a little bit of hickory and cherry wood, mix of lump and briquettes. I'm gonna try to run it at about 250 to 265 the whole cook, and I'm fixing to get my chimney fired up and my smoker loaded up and cleaned up, and then I'll bring you along. So I got my smoker ready, got some hickory and cherry, about 3 chunks of each down at the bottom. The coals that was left, I just shook that basket out, got the ash out, and left the old coals in the bottom, then topped it off with some fresh lump and briquettes. This is all B&B, and I really like B&B. Got a deal on that one. It was partially used, I guess, but it doesn't matter. And a bag of their briquettes are good. I'm using the char logs to get it started, and these are real dense and they're a little bit hard to get fired up, so I kind of have to watch them, and it takes a little longer for them to get fully ashed over. I'm gonna let these get fully ashed over before I get started. I didn't stack them in there real tight like I have in the past, and but I think that'll be enough to get us going. It's 18 degrees out here this morning, so it's a little cooler for our area than what we're used to. Cold front came in, dropped a little snow, but the temperatures are really down. Today's supposed to get up, I think, close to 28 or 30 degrees by the afternoon, so this is gonna be, it'll feel warm compared to what it's been the past few days. But I'm gonna hopefully get this thing up to about 265 fairly quickly, and bring you back when I get the prime rib on. So in getting this thing ready to go, I noticed my vents are frozen up, so I'm gonna take my blowtorch. I'm just gonna warm them up a little bit right there on the inside and get that warm. That should be enough to loosen them up. And if I get something started, it's not a big deal. Yep, that loosened it right up. So I don't keep this thing immaculately clean, so it does have a good bit of grease build up in here, and every once in a while I'll take it apart and just kind of scrape it out with a little plastic scraper. But that's usually maybe every 4 or 5 cooks I do that. So there's a good bit of grease build up. When it gets cold, it's gonna make those vents stick until it gets warmed up, loosened up. Just a little bit of heat on the inside. Same thing for the lid vent. Give it a little, there it is. Yep, it's just unstick them. Just give them a little heat. Gave my smoker a little scrub down, scraped out the fire dial, just the big stuff that wasn't frozen to it. Got everything set up. So it's reading 17, 18 degrees outside, so that's the temperature now. So we'll have to ramp up the heat a little bit to keep the temps up, but we'll get it going here in just a minute. Here's the prime rib. I trimmed off a lot of the silver skin and fat off of this top side, and then the other side is where the bones are, and this has just been, the bones been cut off of it. And on this little, I don't know if they call that the chain, I trimmed what fat I could, but right there in the middle it was just some really heavy fat, so I left a little bit of that. But I've trussed it up to keep it kind of shaped, keep it from opening up while it cooks. So we got coarse black pepper, a little bit of Worcestershire to bind, some large grains of kosher salt, and some Lowry's, and that's what I've done on both sides of this. So this is the side that's going to be up on the smoker. The bone side is on the bottom. So I got my prime rib in the smoker. This is a 22-inch Smoky Mountain. So that almost fills up the whole grate. So this is a whole loin. If you buy it whole like this, you might be able to go to your butcher or meat department at the store you shop at and just tell them you want the whole ribeye loin. And so we're just cooking it whole. We're feeding about 12 to 15 today, and the kids aren't kids anymore. So when they was little, we could pass off some chicken nuggets and they'd be happy, but now they kind of know what's going on with the prime rib. So you got to buy a little bit more when the kids get a little bigger. So that's where we're at right now. I put it on the bottom because I'm gonna do a side on the top grate, and this isn't going to come off till it's done. That I'll open and close it. But what I'm gonna do is get the coals dumped in here, and this thing's been going about 25 minutes, and I had to add some more starter cubes under it to get it going again. So this took 4 starter cubes to get started, and you can tell it's still a little black on the top side there, but I think it's gonna be plenty hot. So we'll get started. So I've got them dumped in, and a lot of times I will concentrate the lit coals in one spot for a long, low and slow, but on this one that's not really what we're looking for. So I spread them around, and I think it's really important that when you dump lit coals on top of unlit coals like I'm doing here, is to take a little poker and kind of stir them down in a little bit, get them nestled down with what's around them. Don't just dump them on and let them sit there. I think they catch a little better if you just give them a little bit of a poke, a little shake, let them sit down a little bit. I'm gonna leave this opened up for just a couple of minutes to let a lot of air flow through it and help get some of those others started, because we're gonna have to overcome this cold weather. So I'm thinking we're gonna need a little bit more fire. I've got my fan hooked up to help get the temperature where I want it, so I'm not fighting trying to get the temperature up. Might have to fight keeping it down a little later, but I think that's going to be better than trying to get the temperature up. That's where we're at. The prime rib's in, so I'm just going to let this open up for maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and then shut the lid and keep an eye on it. So we've been going lid closed 15 minutes. It got up to 236. So that's the inside of the smoker, that's the meat. This is my outside temperature. I just stuck a probe off to the side so it'll show the temperature outside. But now it went down from where it went to. It kind of peaked. So I'm gonna turn the fan on, set it for 250, and let the fan bring it on up the rest of the way. So it's been 30 minutes exactly since I closed the lid up, and it's taken that long to get right at 250. So I'm gonna leave the vents open for right now because it's really cold and it doesn't seem to be climbing too fast. Might shut the top vent down just a little bit, but everything's going good. I've allowed myself another 3.5 hours to get this up to about 120 to 125, and if it looks like it's not going to get there in time, I can bump it up a little bit. So I think I've hopefully saved myself enough time to cook this prime rib. So we've been going about an hour and 20 minutes, and the temperature is creeped up over 270, over 275 now. So I'm gonna throttle down these vents a little bit and keep it rolling. So with the prime rib, I like to do a horseradish sauce. I've got sour cream, mayonnaise, creamy style horseradish sauce. So this isn't just grated horseradish, it's kind of a sauce. It's creamy sauce, and they make an extra hot one would be good too, but I'm opting for just the original and some Dijon mustard. So kind of equal parts of mayonnaise and sour cream. Adjust the horseradish to taste, and maybe like a teaspoon of Dijon, depends on how much you're making. So I just start putting it in there, adding the horseradish, put a little Dijon in it, mix it up, a little salt and pepper, and then give it a taste, and then adjust it from there. So that's how I cook most of everything I do. I don't use recipes very much, but I'm gonna try to make enough for everybody to have some. Some people like it more than others, so some people will just drown their prime rib with this, and then some people just eat a little on the side. So I'm gonna try to make enough for everybody to get as much as they want. So that shows you that's probably about, I don't know, 3-4 tablespoons of each, maybe a little more than that. So you can kind of see where I'm at. The mayonnaise on one side, the sour cream on the other. I think that's going to be pretty close once I add the rest of the ingredients in. So I got it all mixed up here. You can kind of see the size of this bowl and how much it made. Ended up using about 1/3 of this container of horseradish. It comes to about right there, so about 1/3, I guess, of that, and a little more Dijon than what I was thinking. Probably about, I don't know, 2 tablespoons of that, and a good pinch of salt and pepper. You could use like dehydrated or granulated garlic and onion in it. I don't do that. It'd be good. Maybe some Cajun seasoning instead of the salt and pepper would be good in this, but this is the way we like it. It complements the prime rib really well. Really easy sauce, comes together really quick, and this is great if you make it ahead of time. I didn't, so I'm gonna let this hang out in the fridge until we're ready to go eat, so just a couple hours. But if you do this overnight, the flavors come together a little bit better. And also I seasoned that prime rib the night before, so it was in the fridge uncovered, seasoned for about 12 hours before it went on the smoker. So my prime rib is just at 123. That's where I want to pull it off, 122.9. So we're right there at it, 123. And let's take a look at it. So I'm gonna take my top grate off here and see if we can get a good little view of it here. Looks good. Got a nice little crust on it. Feels nice and soft. So I'm gonna get it out of there and get it to resting. I'm gonna rest it inside of a warm cooler with some towels in it until it's ready to slice.